Testing, testing. Are you picking me up? Okay, this is the Panic at the Disco Vices and Virtues Caydor audio log. The other day when I went to pick up a few You Can Sweat Out to make sure I had a actual copy, I happened to spot that the store had another of theirs, Vices and Virtues. Of this, I've only actually listened to one song on it, and because of delays, I wasn't able to get the one I wanted to release for Monday recorded on Sunday night, so I thought I'd do this as a treat. Me completely unscripted, enjoying a CD for a band I like. See if I continue to like their work later on. The first song that's up is the Ballad of Mona Lisa, which is the one song I've heard before, and from what I gathered it seems to be about kind of prostitute style character and possibly one of her lovers. There seems to be like 3 different pronouns used in it. He, she, referring to Mona Lisa, and then the singer every once in a while mentions I or me, implying he's a third person. And there's a lot going on in the song. There's just kind of layers upon layers of music, and it does cut out some points to kind of let you hear the different ones, but I was hearing guitar and synthesizer and all kinds of grand stuff going on. The lyrics were kind of simple, not quite what I was expecting or used to, but I'll try not to let my opinions of the first Panic at the Disco album I listened to cloud my judgment. This will be self-contained. If I do one later where I'm comparing the two, I'll compare and contrast. Because I can't really judge it until I get through the entire CD. But because of my memory, I'm breaking this up after each song. Because even though I like to do this continuous, I keep getting bugged for one reason or another. So I may have to stop after a song and then come back later, and I'd like to, like I said, keep it self-contained and not have too many interruptions. Okay. As for what's going on in the lyrics of the Ballad of Mona Lisa, comes across as somewhat confused, and I think that's intentional based on the way the music behind it goes. I can't tell if they like or dislike her. She seems to maybe have a thing for the guy, but she'd rather just continue to sell her services than actually fall for him. Moving on, what's the next one? Let's Kill Tonight. The background music just sets a beautiful scene. I mean, there's this kind of mix of, like, they did something to his vocals to kind of give a chorus feel to it, and the kind of clapping techno beats. It's kind of like a party scene, and then this kind of like organ or strings come in and give it this really like haunting feel to the place. Lyric wise, once again, there's not a whole lot going on. I think they sneak a couple of big words in there, which when you can make a rhyme with the bigger words, I always find that kind of impressive, because a lot of them won't try for the multi-syllable words, but still kind of simple. As for what's going on, I think it may be continuing the story of Mona Lisa. Seems to be kind of, I guess in a sense you could say it's kind of like rooting for her to kind of show them all there's something. I may get a little bit more detail when I listen to it a little bit more, but first impressions, so can't let it run too long. The next song up is Hurricane, and first listen, this song was fantastic. The music toned it back a little bit more. I think, I don't know if I missed it through the first part or it doesn't appear till the end, but towards the end I caught one lonely little horn in the background. Or what sounds like a horn. It could be done on a synthesizer. I'm having trouble telling with my equipment because everything's giving off an electronic sound, and Panic's known for using a synthesizer, so if I don't know if it's just a really skilled synthesizer person, or synthesizer player, synthesizer person. I'm sure that's a toy or a transformer somewhere. Anyways, synthesizer player really working it, or if I actually got one lonely horn to come in and play. Either way, I find it fantastic. Lyric-wise, Hurricane seems to be kind of the, seems almost like it may be coming from Mona Lisa herself's perspective, as she leads maybe a group of girls of a similar profession, with her kind of declaring they're all grand, and her and her girls are aware that she's kind of the best among them. I think there was one line that stuck out that I'm probably going to be able to forget for a while, that was like, I read a revolution and set all the zippers free. I don't know, I kind of like stuff that's tad on the innuendo-y side, just because it seems to be having fun with it most of the time. Though I do tend to prefer the more subtle stuff, but sometimes you just gotta be big, bold, and proud. Okay, the next one up is Memories, and it seems to be digging a little bit more into the backstory of Mona Lisa at the very least, possibly the young man, or the other guy from the very first song, The Ballad of Mona Lisa. And once again, they're switching pronouns on me, and at some moments I think that the two male sides are the same person, and sometimes they might be others, because he starts off by talking about two people, and then about partway through the song he starts singing about his lost memories that are slipping. So they may be the same person, just kind of a that's not who I am now, or something like that. Music wise, I don't remember a whole lot going off. Seemed like it was louder this time, because on the last song I had to turn it up, and then all of a sudden I had to turn it back down to enjoy it. And it may be just that my speakers don't have subtle settings. It's up by one notch or another, no dial or anything, so I won't blame that on the song too much until I get a chance to hear it on other audio devices. But well, there was something confusing about the lyrics. Starts off with the young man having an unrequited love, then he and the girl run off together, and then they're in love. Yeah, it threw me. Maybe something I might catch on a repeat listen, but It was just something odd, but turns out they were living well on their own, and then the money started getting low, and maybe she turned to other trades, but that may be in the next song. Okay, we're up to trade mistakes, and I'm not entirely sure what to think about this one. If I remember correctly, it starts off with a bunch of strings and a very haunting sort of melody again. And the singer, I'm blanking out his name right now, so I'm not even gonna guess. The way he sings is kinda got a haunting tune to it. The song seems to be ultimately about regret or trying to at least fix mistakes. By the name, I wasn't sure what to think of it because there's lots of meaning there going in, and so I tried to keep my mind open, and maybe it was a little too open. I seems to be wanting to possibly save or help someone, probably Mona Lisa, but we don't get much context into what he seems to be regretting. Mentions a box, so he may be singing this as a ghost, hence the fading memories and changing pronouns. But I'm not entirely certain. Maybe the next song will give a bit more clarity. I don't want to say the song's forgettable because there's lots of it stuck in my head. I just don't have much to say about it right now. Oh well. Let's see. Number 6 is ready to go, parentheses, get me out of my mind, close parentheses. This one, the music had a little bit more of a happy tone. Well, seemed like there might have been quite a bit going on, but it wasn't at the forefront. The focus seemed to be more on the lyrics until he started repeating at the end, which is nice because it can be hard to focus on more than one thing, but that's what repeat listens are for, and I'm skipping that luxury for today. Ready to Go seems to be about falling in love or falling in love again. It's gender neutral, so it works outside of the context of the CD, but so far the CD seems to be staying pretty consistent with keeping it towards Mona Lisa, so though I couldn't tell if it was from the guy's or the girl's perspective. I'm guessing the guy, because it mentions it near the beginning, such a pretty thing, and guys aren't usually described as pretty, but that varies. But the Get Me Out of My Mind seems to imply that maybe he just felt like a ghost in the last song instead of actually being one, which I can know the feeling. Though the bubbliness of the song was kind of contained. There was more of a string going on, but it was the more happy variety. Though a lot of the music, especially at the beginning, seemed to be just kind of a repeat thing, like clicking a button on the synthesizer to set up doing the same kind of repeat notes over and over again as a piano or a piano part of the synthesizer kind of builds in underneath, so simple yet complex, which the lyrics seem to be going a similar way. There's kind of a lot going on without revealing too much. So you're up to Always. That one's another complex song that I'm not sure what to feel about. Though I think that's the feeling they're going for, because the lyrics take up most of it, and he's really kind of long and drawn out about it in kind of a mournful way. Seems to be trying to capture the essence of that feeling when one, maybe two people are falling for each other, and one or both isn't sure how the other feels about them for certain. At least that's the impression I got with the first listen through. Though the singer may think they're not good enough for the other person, or well enough, or something. Like I said, I'm really not sure what to feel about it. I caught a couple of things going on in the music, but the singer's just belting so much that you have to really, really be listening for that to catch much of anything that's going on. And I don't think there was a lot, or at least if you're going to be that loud and you're singing, it seems to be a waste to put too much in the background. If you're going to put too much in the background, it's only best to alternate back and forth. If that's just going off common sense and resisting my urge to go back and listen again, because that would be unfair. For now. Okay, so as for the calendar, this one seems to once again be a continuation of the last song, in which instead of being kind of sad and mopey about the whole thing, he kind of decides to get up and be kind of full of life. Seems he may have confessed his love to the girl, probably Mona Lisa, who may or may not have said it back. It may be going back to the earlier song where she may kind of want to, but she also doesn't want to give up her lucrative job. The one thing I did really like is there was a line that went like, how did it go? Tonight your body's a symphony and I'm conducting, and then right after that the music it's kind of complex, or more complex. It may have been there before and I just didn't notice it because it wasn't in the foreground, but it kind of does this rising action and then a little bit of a falling action before it gets back to the lyrics, and I just thought that was kind of neat right after the symphony line. Let's see. And as I'm listening to these songs, I'm following along with the lyrics in the lyric book so I can get an idea of what they're saying, because sometimes it can be hard, especially with the way that the singer likes to produce some of the accents. I could probably double check his name, but I'll do that at the end. Anyways, what was I talking about? The calendar. But looking at the book, in the song he says put another X on the calendar. I guess apparently that's a kind of double meaning thing, because in the books it's spelled EX, like another girlfriend, like even though he's still kind of pursuing Mona Lisa, because it seems he may be visiting her in a professional capacity, or her professional capacity, but continuing to go through other girls to kind of keep him going, possibly. Or that's the impression that I get. Hopefully I don't need to knock on wood. Sarah Smiles, another interesting one. Didn't really hear a whole lot going on in the music, and I don't remember a whole lot going on. There may be something kind of behind, because there was a lot going on with the lyrics for the most part, and I tend to focus on lyrics first and then catch some of the music if I can. Just how my brain's wired. This one, I kind of have two interpretations of it, because it specifies Sarah by name. So either it's a different girl who may work for Mona Lisa, or because girls of that profession are sometimes known for using different names, Mona Lisa may be her kind of street name, and Sarah's her actual name, possibly. And it doesn't say it specifically. I think most of these songs are set up so they can work on their own or as a continuous story, so it leaves out some of the details that would make that completely clear. The main focus of the song is Sarah smiles like Sarah doesn't care, being in her own little world, so he kind of seems torn. Because it seems part of him is like, fine, go on, I don't miss you, and then when she's gone, it's like, I really do kind of miss you. Are you going to save me or not? And it gets across pretty well the conflicted emotion, and there's one point where the music kind of cuts out, and he just kind of sings and belts, and he does this, I forget the exact detail, but it sounded odd to my ears the way he pronounced something, so I thought it was kind of fun, I guess would be the word. Didn't exactly dislike it, I found it kind of amusing. But also the concepts there are kind of simple, so there's not really much I can say about it without a repeat. And the last song we have up is Nearly Witches, parentheses, Ever Since We Met. I really like this song, and I don't quite know why. Though I may discover talking it out. The imagery at the beginning is kind of odd. He's basically singing about moving through a house, possibly a burlesque house. At first I wanted to think maybe it was from the girls or Mona Lisa's perspective, and the regret of not telling the person she loved them. But it talks about shooting up with perfume, which might be set in a time period where that's a common thing among men, but generally perfumes on the girl's side and colognes on the guy's side. Not always, but I'm just going with common connotations here. But gives a lot of kind of personifications to odd things like naive wood floors and cobweb headaches. Ramshackle heads. It's maybe something I'm missing, because a lot of, I know on A Fever You Can't Sweat Out, you can enjoy a lot of the songs without knowing them, but they do like to reference outside books and stuff they like, but they tend to make sure that it can make sense without it, so there may be something that's, you know, this thing like, oh, that's where it's from, or something, but I can't guarantee anything without doing research. Wow, that accent went off. supposed to sound closer to One Mall Thing. You know where that's from. But my accents are terrible today. Anyways, that's Vices and Virtues, and from what I hear, I really like, and I'm going to be looking forward to the 6 or 7 more listens that are required for me to actually do a critical review of it. But that'll be with my full Panic at the Disco review possibly either next week or the week after that. Depends on how things go and how long it runs. I'm planning on using parts of the song so you can actually get an idea for it later, but if I start editing it in now, I'm going to be tempted to edit me doing the whole unscripted thing, and I'd rather not face the temptation, so I'll start by looking at a Beaver You Can't Sweat Out for next week, and if the review doesn't go too long, I may put together the same thing for Vices and Virtues, and if it does run too long, I'll just do them as like part 1, part 2, and if I have it all together, it may both get released throughout next week. If not, it'll be kind of a 2-week thing, and I apologize for that. I try not to split up the projects, but sometimes happens. So that was my Vices and Virtues audio log. I hope you enjoy my semi-coherent ramblings. If you made it through, I thank you. I think most of these ran about as long as some of the songs did. Nearly exactly. And if you like what you heard, either check out other stuff on my YouTube channel, which is just Caydor, because I like using my name, Caydor, or check us out at adventuresinrandom.com. I have some audio like this, some with a mix of audio and video. I do game guides, or video walkthroughs, you might call them. And actually have some written articles, but lately I've been so pressed for time that I've just been doing the normal outline I do before I start writing the full article, and just translating that into audio. Because except for the editing part, it does save some amount of time, especially if I have something to work with, like some other ones. But I'm going off on a tangent, so